Hey there, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
There's breaking news in the multi-state manhunt for the gunman in the caught-on-camera execution of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. NYPD confirms to CBS News that they have found a backpack in Central Park, which they believe belongs to the suspect. That backpack is headed to the NYPD lab for forensic testing, more than 60 hours after that brazen shooting in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Police now believe the man they are looking for has escaped New York City. We also learned today the police in Atlanta are now on the case, while investigators follow leads in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Police have released multiple videos and images of the man they want for questioning, but have not publicly named a suspect.
This is an extremely interesting case. A lot of people are actually rooting for this guy to get away, which is so weird. Another weird thing, there was supposedly Monopoly money inside this backpack they found.
Okay, I'm not exactly a conspiracy theorist kind of guy, but I couldn't really leave this one alone. So there is a connection between Nancy Pelosi and Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. So hear me out. On September 21, 2024, there was a cyber breach at United Healthcare. Over 100 million data users were affected, healthcare workers and individuals. On that day, Nancy Pelosi purchased $4 million in a cybersecurity company called Palo Alto Networks. It is a specialist in cybersecurity. On the day of the announcement of the breach, she made that purchase. That company netted her $11.9 million. This was going to be up for investigation. Now, the person who was going to be investigated by the DOJ and was going to be potentially questioned about this cannot be questioned. Do with that as you will.
Tell me that doesn't just get your conspiracy brain a bubbling, because wow. So the guy that was supposed to testify against her is the CEO, the no longer with us CEO. It's almost as if a hit was put out. Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of America. Where is that child's parents? Is one of those voices in the background shouting, "Don't touch her parent"? We need to bring back whoopings.
I want to know how you can live in 2024, go outside and see this in the sky and then watch it haze over the whole sky, especially on a sunny day, and be like, yep, those are just some airplane condensation trails.
I'm still 50-50 on the whole, chemtrails thing, because I understand the science of it, but at the same time, like I always say, it is awfully convenient, isn't it?
Beds, we did every intake and output and did these things. So we were a leader in the field of neonatology. The hospital still is a leader in the field of neonatology. But then I had a baby, Joseph, in 1975, who had flat brainwaves and was said to be brain dead. And it was suggested to stop treating him. I said, well, I don't do that. I treat babies, some live, some die, and kept treating him. And he did eventually get off the ventilator, and he went to school and he got straight A's and ran track and played baseball. And he's married, he has 3 children. So because of him, after about 6 months, when he continued to live and was doing much better than anybody would have predicted, I started to investigate brain death. And it took about 2 years till I understood the language of brain death. Brain death is a lie. It's a lie that's been told over and over again, so people don't even realize it's a lie anymore. But it's been a lie from the beginning, continues to be a lie.
That was just a small piece of a 10-minute clip. I'm going to link the whole thing in the description. Check it out. It is incredible. So it's saying how brain death isn't actually, what they say that it is. It's just an excuse to harvest organs. That's crazy. That makes me terrified of if something were to happen and they're like, oh, she's brain dead. And then they're like, take her stuff. That's not good.
So earlier today, America striked inside of Syria. Admin official confirmed it was against ISIS sites in Syria. So it was dropped 140 munitions. If you guys don't know, ISIS is still around. They have small cells in Syria right now, and it looks like U.S. is responding and attacking them instead of attacking the rebels, which is a good sign for the rebels. And if you are ISIS, who probably wanted to take advantage of the chaos that was going on, this is a bad sign. America's still anti-ISIS, anti-terrorism.
I want to take a second and touch on ISIS. My friend Sam Fisher, he has a YouTube channel. I've talked about him many times. He has this series called Media, Mindspace, and Manipulation. And in there, he goes into how ISIS itself is just an American-created enemy, which is mind-boggling in itself. I couldn't explain it very well. He just does an amazing job of explaining how they're created, because we need enemies in order to fund millionaires, billionaires, because we have to go to war somewhere in order for these people to make all of their money. So they created ISIS. Now, I don't 100% believe that, but the way that he explains it, it's intriguing. It really is. If you get a chance, go over to Sam Fisher's channel and check out his Media, Mindspace, and Manipulation. It's a lot of information, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Right now, Damascus is being destroyed before our very eyes. Today, U.S. strikes dozens of ISIS camps and operatives in Syria. Also, this is happening with Israel as well. Israel bombs Damascus as 50-year peace deal ends with Assad overthrown, because they're saying there is a vacuum being left behind as Assad has left the nation. And we are hearing that there are these rebel groups that are backed by ISIS. Israel's strikes in Damascus today have been very intensive, defense sources say. We are watching Damascus being destroyed by the U.S. and by Israel. Bombs are dropping in.
Tensions certainly are escalating, aren't they? Right as Biden's getting ready to leave the presidency. And it's funny because Donald Trump had released a statement saying, don't do it. Don't do anything. And then we go in and we drop a whole bunch of crap over there. And now we're all involved in that even more. So what the frick, man? Why can't we just chill out for a couple of months? Let it ride. And then let somebody come in and take care of it without war.
So far, these are unconfirmed reports that Assad is in Moscow, but they've come from Russian state media outlets, which are quoting a Kremlin source, and that generally means the information is pretty accurate. Earlier on, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stayed silent on Assad's whereabouts, perhaps because he was still in transit, but there was speculation that he may well head to the Russian capital after reports that he was here with his family just over a week ago when rebels took Aleppo. Russia, of course, has been a staunch supporter of the Assad regime throughout the Syrian civil war. Its fall will represent a massive blow for Russia because it's the loss of a key regional and strategic ally. Russia has 2 military bases in Syria, and the future of both of them is now in the balance. If it were to lose them, especially its Mediterranean port in Tartus, then it would seriously damage Russia's regional influence and regional clout, both in the Middle East, in Africa, and in the Mediterranean. So the question then is, why didn't Moscow do more to keep Assad in Damascus rather than here? And the answer, I think, is because of Ukraine, and that Russia didn't want to be dragged and couldn't afford to be dragged into yet another conflict.
That's a real good news, bad news situation, because good news, Russia's ally is no longer in that particular game, but bad news because now Russia's like, you're taking out my buddies. we're going to have some words.
The States will do whatever we can to support them, including through humanitarian relief to help restore Syria after more than a decade of war.
This just sets me off. It sets me off because now we're going to send more money to another foreign country when we have people in our own country that need help. You want to do humanitarianism? Start at your own front door. Look around, Mr. President. Things are getting kind of rough here, and you just keep sending money everywhere else.
I canceled my Amazon Prime membership today. I was just refunded $151.34. First, I thought my Amazon Prime membership was $139 per year. They charge tax. I sent a link of a product to a friend so that he could tell me what it was. Some drill bits. I sent the drill bits to my friend so he could tell me whether or not if they were the right ones. He was like, yeah, get them, they're only $12. I'm looking on my end, I said it says it's $16. Come to find out, he does not have an Amazon Prime membership, so he gets a discount on the products. I have to pay additional. I thought that my Amazon Prime membership covered the 2-day shipping, but it does not. I find that to be fraudulent. I thought Amazon was sued for this, and I thought that they had resolved that in some way. However, I canceled my membership because I find that to be incredibly fraudulent. I'm not sure why I'll be charged extra when I have the membership.
I haven't tried this yet, but I'm gonna find out if that actually happens. I gotta see if I know anybody that doesn't have Prime so I can send them something and be like, hey, check this price out. I wonder if it has something to do with where they're located, but either way, for Prime, you shouldn't be paying for shipping. That's the whole deal. I mean, other companies do that, like when you get a streaming subscription and they play commercials even though you're paying for it, and then you pay for the higher one where there's no commercials, and then at the beginning they're like, oh, here's 3 minutes of commercials before your show plays. It's shady, it's underhanded, and it's all in the name of money.
This is a 5G cellular tower. You can tell it's a 5G cellular tower because of the way that it is. It's a cellular tower with 5G antennas on top and in the middle. However, this particular 5G tower has a special feature. It's what they call Pfizer 5G. Not sure what that means. I'm sure you can make something up because I just did. It's pretty neat.
That's an interesting thing. So like 5G, it is known to cause like harmonic disruptions, if you will, and it makes people feel ill. But now the Pfizer thing, that's some conspiracy brain food right there, isn't it?
To do hits on this. We need a 24/7 declassification office.
Yes.
Rolling papers out 24/7. And not just like JFK and not just 9/11. You're talking to the guy that's read the whole 9/11 report and those 7 pages that people talk about. But I believe, as like the guy who's an intel guy who believes wholeheartedly in the classified system of information, I believe that it has been over abused by these corrupt officials in government to hide the truth and enact more corrupt activities. So what I told the boss was like, I don't care what you call it, truth and reconciliation, whatever, come up with a better name. But every agency and department literally submit all of their documentation. And I believe you could get half out. Half. I still think the other half needs to remain classified. I'll always argue that it does serve a purpose. But like you're seeing in these documents in the Jack Smith case, they're just redacting stuff that they lied about, that they broke the law.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's used to protect themselves.
And it's a public document in a federal court, which is a document for...
Knowing politicians, it's really interesting to see all of these people that Trump is appointing and hearing them talk about the changes that they're going to make. It makes me really hope that they're not all just smoke and mirrors.
So CEOs are in trouble if they catch the gunman, and they're in trouble if they don't catch him. Here's why. First of all, they're not going to. I can explain it in another video, but at this point, they're not going to catch him. But let's say that they do catch him. They would have to put him on trial. That trial will be a heavily televised public event. It would have a lot of viewership, a lot of people paying attention. And during this event, they'd be giving a name and a face to this guy so people would sympathize with him even more. In that trial, he would officially be given a platform to espouse his beliefs and his motivations as to why he did it. Motivations that a lot of Americans likely agree with. By giving him that platform, the rich would inadvertently be creating more people like him who want to do more of the thing that he did. So arresting him and putting him on trial, that's a Pyrrhic victory for them. Second, let's assume that the NYPD gets into a chase with him, or the FBI gets into a chase with him, and he is gunned down in the chase. Well, now you've made him a martyr, right? You're making him some average citizen who was gunned down for doing unto the ruling class what the ruling class has been doing unto the rest of us for centuries. Also a no-win situation. Finally, let's look at the most likely outcome. That he's not going to get caught, he's going to get away with this, and the CEOs who want him caught and punished are going to be left hanging. Left hanging. In that situation, the gunman proves to the American public that the elite are not safe from us. That just because they think they are free from their consequences does not mean that we cannot get to them. He would effectively prove to a lot of Americans who are likely to take up the same position as him that, hey, not only should you take action against these corporate executives who are making your lives worse, but it is in fact stupid easy to get away with doing so. By getting away, it would allow him to essentially remain anonymous. He becomes a symbol. He, for all intents and purposes, becomes V from V for Vendetta. And in America, after, centuries of the opposite being true, people finally understand that the rich and the powerful who exploit them every day are not invincible. And I could easily see that being the start of a very violent, very horrific class revolution in the United States. And look, at this point, they're not going to catch him. The NYPD has admitted he has a 3-day head start on him. They've admitted they haven't been able to find any evidence that ties an actual person to this crime. The one shot they have of him on CCTV is incredibly blurry and doesn't provide full face ID. This gunman is gone at this point. They are never going to see him again unless someone rats on him, and it's looking like no one really wants to. I do not know how this is going to end. All I know is that it is going to end up in the history books.
While I want to see individuals who are out kicking other people's buckets prosecuted for their crime, these CEOs and money mongers need to be prosecuted for their crimes as well. The American people will only take so much before they start to fight back. And they are. And in this situation, he is absolutely right. If they find him, this guy will be championed more than he already is.
This is what a salary of $1.5 million looks like after taxes in California. Gross annual income, $1.5 million. Federal income tax, $513,164. State income tax, $184,557. Social Security, $9,114. Medicare, $33,450. State disability insurance, $1,602. Total taxes paid, $741,886. Net income, $758,114. In total, if you make $1.5 million in California, 49.5% will go towards taxes.
My daughter quit working for the family business because she wanted a regular job, and she got her first paycheck. They took an entire third of it, and it wasn't even a very big paycheck. So California sucks. Just California sucks so bad.
Common all over the United States. Climate experts believe the next ice age is on its way. According to recent evidence, it could come sooner than anyone had expected. At weather stations in the far north, temperatures have been dropping for 30 years. Seacoasts, long free of summer ice, are now blocked year-round. According to some climatologists, within a lifetime, we might be living in the next ice age.
How interesting. And then 25 years later, everybody's screaming about how there's global warming and the world is heating up. That's quite a dramatic shift, which is why I feel like the global warming thing is a hoax. I have to say it like that because I don't want people to know that out loud I really think it's a hoax.
I once sat in a meeting and heard a CEO that made $77.6 thousand a day tell all of the employees that the only thing that should be concerning them is whether or not their choices every day affected shareholder value positively. These people do not give a crap about you. They They are literally only concerned with making money. You're not humans to them. You have zero value to them other than what you bring to the company. Work less hard. Do not be concerned with them. If you died, the best you could hope for is they send a $25 thing of flowers to your funeral. They would replace you the next day and never, ever, ever lose any sleep over your lack of existence. Eat the rich.
Money is evil. It really is. And that's sad. It's a sad thing to have to say because that's what our society has become focused on. Money, getting more of it. How can I get more of it? The more these people have, the less they care about anybody else that's bringing in that money. It's sad. It's awful.
Everyone's panicking about the TikTok ban, but literally nothing has changed. A law was passed that forced TikTok to either divest from China or be banned. That law was upheld in court. It was passed back in April, and the timeline has not changed. It being upheld in court doesn't mean that the app will be banned no matter what. It means that TikTok still has 45 days to divest, just like they had before. This case was in the DC Circuit of the Federal Court of Appeals, and next it'll probably go to the Supreme Court. TikTok sent me an email yesterday stating their intention to go to the Supreme Court. TikTok also stated their goal to, quote, protect the First Amendment rights of 170 million Americans, which I found particularly ironic considering just how often they ban people for political speech. I myself was banned and reinstated at 1.5 million followers more than 70 times. Also, as Forbes noted, Trump is a pro-TikTok president. He's been outspoken about his disagreement with this law and could undermine it altogether. And that makes plenty of sense because the basis for banning TikTok was it being insecure and owned by a Chinese person. See, Trump had those same concerns, and he tried to ban TikTok while he was president, but through negotiations, it was decided that TikTok would allow an American company, Oracle, to handle American TikTok servers, and they'd be based primarily in Texas and Singapore, which is the most capitalist country on planet Earth, far from the grasps of the Chinese Communist Party. This was sufficient for Trump, and he supports the free use of the app today. It's also worth noting that the CEO of TikTok is Singaporean and not Chinese, and 3 of its 5 board members are Americans. The arguments against TikTok with the basis that they're a Chinese company, in my opinion, are totally null.
The American government just wants to be in total control of the narrative. And it's interesting because there's a lot of control and a lot of censoring happening on TikTok. So I don't know what more they can control. Probably take away the opinions of people that don't support what the government narrative is. It's the only thing I can think of.
Concern in the skies outside New York City tonight. The drone mystery over New Jersey, seen flying near President-elect Trump's Bedminster golf course and near a military base. The FAA now taking action.
Tonight in central New Jersey, a mystery in the sky.
What the heck?
The FBI is now investigating multiple sightings of swarms of drones hovering menacingly overhead night after night for the last several weeks.
Tonight, authorities say they understand the public's concern about the drones, but they say there's no immediate.
Yeah, what the heck is going on? A lot of these drones, it's all over the news. And my cousin, he's in Phoenix, and he just posted something yesterday about drones being over Phoenix for the last week. What's going on? Why aren't we shooting them down? We need to shoot them down, find out where they're from, and do something about it.
So I'm worried that what is going on right now is that we are being influenced through a campaign to be acclimated to an idea that might be true, but we're giving events that are not true in order to influence that idea. I don't know if I'm being clear. I am concerned right now that there are fake psyops, that there are things being done by the United States government to put fear and confusion into the American and global public about UAP for an agenda. So are you concerned at all that unprecedented events like this, they make zero sense, that they just think we're idiots, and that all of a sudden they're trying to create this fear of these unidentified unknowns, unknown origin, when it's so easy to track? George and I directly know and have been exposed to footage of high capability of looking at these types of things. That is fact. So, are you concerned at all that this is a charade?
My friend Randy Sheldon over on Facebook, he's known as Big Bang here, just said something that absolutely blew my mind regarding aliens and the whole Project Bluebeam thing. And what he said is, what if Bluebeam isn't so we think a fake event is real, but to make us think that a real one is fake? How absolutely interesting is that? There's so much direction and misdirection trying to get us to look over here when we should be looking over there. And then once we look over there, we think we're looking over here, and it's a real Princess Bride drink the poison situation.
I'm about to show you a video of these two UFOs being shot down over a military base in Afghanistan, and it has changed everything I think about UFOs. Watch.
Two are hit by a missile. They seem
Look
to
at them.
explode, then reappear undamaged.
They are plasma. UFOs are plasma. I'm almost damn near positive of this at this point. But did you see the way that when they got shot with that missile, that they just came back together like a jelly? This is a still shot from right after the UFOs were hit with the missile, and you can see that doesn't look like a busted up aircraft. That looks like a plasma cloud or something. Back in 2023, Avi Loeb and Sean Kirkpatrick, who was the director of Arrow at the time, put out a theory that there was a mothership in our solar system, and it was sending probes to Earth, like dandelion seeds basically, and they were self-replicating probes as well. Wouldn't it make sense if they were plasma probes? Does that not check out? That makes sense, right? Because we don't recover UFO crafts that get shot down, or do we? We don't really know at this point. These two UFOs look damn near identical, and the way they explode is damn near identical. I could buy the self-replicating bit. Have you noticed that there are more UFO sightings happening nowadays? Yes, people are more comfortable reporting them because they won't be looked at like they're crazy anymore. But could it be because this plasma has finally self-replicated into enough dandelion seeds?
If you watch Sam Fisher's channel, like I obviously do, he just used this the other day, so I kind of stole it from him, who stole it from her, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. Sam has gone into detail about how plasma could very potentially be like a living thing, and that is more than I'm able to vocalize, but it's incredible. So what if they actually are like plasma drones and they just come back together? That's a whole new world of crazy. I love it.
So welcome to the teeny tiny shoebox apartment inside the arcade. There are lots of others in the building just like this. So mine is about 250 square feet. There's a walkway right in front of the facade because this used to be a shop front, and so people had to access all of the shops in the building.
While malls across the U.S. are facing store closures and empty parking lots, some are finding a new life from an unlikely source. We are here at the Arcade Mall in Providence, Rhode Island, the oldest indoor shopping mall in the country. The Arcade had long been a center point in Providence's bustling downtown, but like other malls, it fell on hard times and was completely vacant. But rather than letting this historic building fall into ruin, developers came in and decided to build 48 micro-lofts here on the second floor and up here on the third floor.
So my husband and I watched this video last night, and it was a lot longer, and it goes into how spectacular it is that they're turning malls, you know, the upper floors of these old defunct malls into, you know, housing. But you know what that is? That's a 15-minute city. That's not even a 15-minute city because it's self-contained. You go downstairs, you work. You go downstairs, you eat. You go downstairs, you shop. You're in there. That's it. And this is happening all over our country. I feel like it's a test run for the 15-minute cities, even though there have been some that are already built. But that's pretty, yeah, New World Order-ish, isn't it?
Footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI had has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
I'm seriously hopeful for this change because that is literally what is happening. They're just sitting there in their cushy position waiting for their next promotion to get more money to do. What are they doing? Go do your job. Well, I thought I had another clip for you, but it was actually a redundancy. So I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please come on back in a couple of days. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day. So the government is telling us, yes, there are aliens. And then we're like, no, there's not. There probably isn't. So we're like, hey, it's real and it's not. And it's not real. It's really confusing. It's like misdirection and look over here when you're supposed to be looking over there. But when you're looking over there, you think you're looking over here. It's a real Princess Bride. Drink the poison. It's inconceivable. That's dumb. I'm going to do that again.